It's 1.5 a page.
Huh?
It's one. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. قل إني أخاف إن عصيت ربي عذاب يوم عظيم. قل الله أعبد مخلصا له ديني. فاعبدوا ما شئتم من دونه. قل إن الخاسرين الذين خسروا أنفسهم وأهليهم يوم القيامة ألا ذلك هو الخسران المبين. لهم من فوقهم ظلل من النار ومن تحتهم ظلل ذلك يخوف الله به عباده يا عباد فاتقون. والذين اجتنبوا الطاغوت أن يعبدوها وأنابوا إلى الله لهم البشرى. لهم البشرى فبشر عباد. فبشر عبادي الذين يستمعون القول فيتبعون أحسنه. أولئك الذين هداهم الله وأولئك هم أولو الألباب. أفمن حق عليه كلمة العذاب أفأنت تنقذ من في النار. لكن الذين اتقوا ربهم لهم غرف من فوقها غرف مبنية لهم غرف من فوقها غرف مبنية تجري من تحتها الأنهار. وعد الله لا يخلف الله الميعاد. ألم تر أن الله أنزل من السماء ماء فسلكه ينابيع في الأرض ثم يخرج به زرعا مختلفا ألوانه ثم يهيج فتراه مصفرا ثم يجعله حطاما إن في ذلك لذكرى لأولي الألباب أفمن شرح الله صدره للإسلام فهو على نور من ربه فويل للقاسية قلوبهم من ذكر الله أولئك في ضلال مبين الله نزل أحسن الحديث كتابا متشابها مثانية تقشعر منه جلود الذين يخشون ربهم ثم تلين جلودهم وقلوبهم إلى ذكر الله ذلك هدى الله ذلك هدى الله يهدي به من يشاء ذلك هدى الله ذلك هدى الله يهدي به من يشاء ومن يضلل الله فما له من هاد أفمن يتقي بوجهه سوء العذاب يوم القيامة وقيل للظالمين ذوقوا ما كنتم تكسبون كذب الذين من قبلهم فأتاهم العذاب من حيث لا يشعرون فأذاقهم الله الخزي في الحياة الدنيا ولعذاب الآخرة أكبر لو كانوا يعلمون صدق الله العلي العظيم.
Assalamu alaikum, brothers and sisters. Can we get another loud salawat for a beautiful recitation? Salawat. Before I call up our speaker for tonight, we do have a poem by a young brother. And before I invite him up, I would ask everyone to please move forward. There's a lot of space up here in the front. If I can have everybody stand up, come closer and come closer to the curtain, inshallah. Move forward and closer to the curtain. Sister side as well. Please move forward and closer to the curtain. Salawat Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. And with that, I'd like to invite our brother Ali to recite his poem. Please give him another loud salawat.
Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Oh Hussein. Wait, no, I don't need this. It's fine. Oh Hussein, you were killed in pain. Oh Hussein, you were brutally slain. Oh Hussein, they had no brain. Oh Hussein, they were insane. Oh Hussein, what did they gain? Oh Hussein, how will they explain on the day of judgment? Oh Hussein, nothing from your body remained. Oh Hussein, yeah, your campaign still reigns the world today. Oh Hussein, everyone comes to visit you from all terrains. Oh Hussein, it makes no difference if they're from Bahrain or even Spain. Oh Hussein, it makes no difference if they come by airplane or by train. Oh Hussein, it makes no difference if there's rain or even a hurricane. Oh Hussein, it makes no difference if they use a cane. Oh Hussein, I remember you when I drink water. Oh Hussein, I can hardly stand any thirst. Oh Hussein, I can't imagine what Ali Asghar had to go through. Oh Hussein, I wish I was there and could feel your pain. Oh Hussein, I wish I was there and could feel your thirst. Oh Hussein, I wish I was there and could help you fight. Oh Hussein, I wish I could give you water. Oh Hussein, I hope one day I can meet you in heaven. Oh Hussein.
Excellent. Can we get another loud salawat for him, inshallah? Just a couple of quick announcements for upcoming events. One is there's upcoming celebrating the birthday of the Prophet at SBIA. Mulana Abdi will be giving a speech there as well, so encourage everyone to attend that. We also have Camp New registrations that are open right now for ages 17 and older. That is a slide coming up. Yeah, it's the weekend of December 15th to the 19th, to the 18th. I do encourage everyone to attend that. And one more quick announcement. On November 18th, that's a Saturday at 10:30 a.m., there is a business analyst careers presentation by, on December 10th, on a Sunday. There's from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. is a workshop on project management. Encourage everyone to attend that as well. And with that, one other quick announcement as well is that please, brothers and sisters, try refrain from going in and out of the hallways. In and out of the hall. And please do clean up after yourself. As I see, a lot of people have got some good snacks and stuff like that. Please clean up after yourselves when you leave. Don't leave it in here, inshallah. Please help me with that. Let me invite up our speaker with a loud salawat.
A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajeem. This is to the Imam of our time on this night of Arba'een, a night which really brings a lot of sorrow and pain to the Imam, which we share this pain and sorrow and commemorate the 40th of Abu Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam. There is a very beautiful sermon of Siddiqah Sughra Zainab Kubra Salamullah alayha, which she delivered in Kufa, which is right after the atrocities that took place on the 10th of Muharram, as she was taken captive, and that was the first city which she was taken as a prisoner. And there's a very nice commentary on it by Aghay Saadat Parvar. So I will be using that as a base or as a reference point. The book is called Furugh Shahadat. Let me just give you a bit about the author of this book, because these days, mashallah, the understanding or the amount of engagement that our youth have in relation to the Islamic material have been so amazing that they are even ready to comment on the correctness of the riwayat and hadith by just having few understanding of few terminologies. And this is quite dangerous. And these days we find, like, they will learn a couple of terms and they would just say that, well, this is zaif, or this is weak hadith, or there is marfu, the ravi is not there, or they will search up the name of a ravi and then Google it up and they say, oh, he was this, he was that. But this is like just looking at going on a Google and try to figure out what drug has what side effects, and trying to advise people who have different diseases and illnesses, which is quite dangerous. So we got to be very careful and with little bit of understanding and knowledge that we may have of some terminologies, that doesn't give us right to really criticize people who have extensively spent their life trying to analyze, trying to figure out what is the right hadith, what is the right riwayah, and proper interpretation of it, and which one to take and which one to reject. Aghay Saadat Parvar, from where I am quoting this khutbah of her and some comments from him, is marhum, one of the students of Allama Tabatabai. He was also known by the name of Ayatollah Pahlawani. He was regarded as Ayatollah Pahlawani as well, but his name was Aghay Saadat Parvar. he, as you all know, that Allama had many students in different fields. For example, Ayatollah Jawad Amali is known for tafsir, because when he was ill and he stopped giving classes of tafsir, Agha Jawad Amali continued. Just to let our youngsters know, Allama Tabatabai is one of the contemporary scholars who passed away, who died recently, but he is well known in the field of philosophy, in the field of tafsir. He has a very fascinating magnum opus work on tafsir, which is Tafsirul Mizan, which is about 20 volumes. It's a unique tafsir in the sense that it's a tafsir of ayah to ayah of the Quran. So he has used the Quran to interpret the Quran. He hasn't used any of the hadiths or philosophical arguments to interpret the Quran. So he has used the Quran to interpret the Quran. For example, if the Quran says وَكُونُوا مَعَ الصَّادِقِينَ, in Surah Tawbah there's a verse which says, for instance, يَا أَيُّهَا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا اتَّقُوا اللَّهَ وَكُونُوا مَعَ الصَّادِقِينَ. Sadiqeen, this phenomena of Sadiqeen. Who are Sadiqeen? Now then he fetches into the verses of the Quran which describe Sadiqeen, which describe Ulil Albab. So is a very a very unique methodology that was never seen before, where Allama uses that and he compiled this Quran, and he says that he is indebted to Ayatollah Sayyid Ali Qazi, who was his ustad, who taught him to write tafsir in this fashion. So his students were, for example, Ali Jawadi, who took the lessons of the tafsir. There was Ayatollah Shahid Mutahari, who was in philosophy, as you may have heard of his name. Shahid Mutahari, a great prolific figure, scholar, and there's a very nice work of his is Usul Falsafe or Realism. In philosophy he has done that great work, and many other works of Shahid Mutahari is well known. It's translated, something that we need to really engage and encourage our youth to really have that reading habit and get into reading. Then Agha Saadat Parwar was in Irfan, and he has mentioned that when Allama and used to be with him, he would walk to one of the gardens which there was near his house, where he used to rent a place called Yakhchal Ghazi. If some of the people who have been there, the area was called Yakhchal Ghazi, and Imam Khomeini's house is there as well, his old house. So he would walk in one of this park that was there, garden that was there, and he would, Agha Saadat Parwar would recite Hafiz. Hafiz is like famous poet. And he would recite Hafiz, and Allama would comment on it, and he would write those comments down. And now recently his work have been published on Sharh Hafiz, which is about 11 volumes. So all of Hafiz has been given a commentary by Allama Tabatabai, which was written by Saadat Parwar. Agha Saadat Parwar, I had a friend, a schoolmate basically, who was a GP, who was a doctor, and he would attend to Agha Saadat Parwar when he was ill, and he would say to Agha Saadat Parwar, you need to sleep. They say that he would sleep very less, and awliya, people who are on this path, eventually their hours of sleep lessons. They say Agha Bahjat would sleep 5 to 6 hours, Ayatollah Bahjat, and most of the time he would be studying, or praying, preparing for his classes. When they told Agha Saadat Parwar, he would say that these sounds of verses of the Quran and the chirping of the birds from the heaven and doesn't really allow me to go to sleep. This reminded me of, there is a khutbah of Amirul Mu'mineen Nahjul Balagha which says that muttaqeen are those people who are as if they are already in heaven, that they could hear the sounds of the heaven. So Agha Saadat Parwar was one of that sort of caliber, very mutakhalliq, mutawazi, humble, very simple. He lived a very simple life. If you visit his house, if you would have visited his house, obviously you would not realize that, such a personality living in this fashion. So he brought this, he compiled or wrote this book called as Furuq Shahadat, which looks into the secret, mysterious elements of Maqtal of Imam Hussein alayhi salam. The Maqtal of Imam Hussein, which is the whole narrative of how Imam Hussein was killed, and some of the sermons of Imam Hussein on the day of Ashura, some of those things that exchange between Imam Hussein and Shimr, and some of the speeches of Hazrat Zainab, some of the importance riwayat or narrations that are there in regards to the ziyarat of Imam Hussein, they are explained in a very mystical, irfani way. We kind of focus on Maqtal from a very emotional point of view. We don't try to look at the, what really is behind what they are talking about. Like, for example, this is not here, however, for instance, as we talk about Shimr on the chest of Imam Hussein, and people kind of is moved very emotionally. And the dialogue between Shimr and Imam Hussein, which is recorded, which is read by many of the scholars, which says that Imam Hussein said to Shimr that Shimr, spare my life. Right? Obviously, Imam Hussein is not asking that, oh, please don't kill me, right? And we know for sure that if Shimr would have left Imam Hussein would die in a couple of hours in terms of the amount of wounds and what he has gone through. He would have died anyways. And then he says, why don't you give me some water before you sever my head, before you kill me? So once again, a father who has seen his son being slain in that fashion, will never ask water. If it is you and I, will say, we'll never even see the face of water if my son has been killed that way. Then Imam Hussein also says that I will guarantee you the shafaat of Rasulullah at that stage, that if you leave me. After doing all of that, Imam Hussein is asking that I will guarantee you the shafaat of Rasulullah. But in return he says that the reward that Yazid will give me is better than what you are guaranteeing me for. This is usually mentioned in a very emotional way. People cry. But if you look at it from this angle, where Imam Hussein doesn't want to live, Imam Hussein doesn't want water, Imam Hussein is also guaranteeing the shafaat, the intercession, that I'm guaranteeing you heaven, paradise. Then you would realize that no, there is something else here. And that is where Imam Hussein, as we recite in Ziyarat-e-Jami Kabira, as we know that the Ahl Bayt, we say, Umana'ur Rahman. Umana'ur Rahman is a term which is in Ziyarat-e-Jami, which means the minarets of mercy. The Ahl Bayt alayhimus salam and the Imams are the minarets of mercy. Mercy of God reaches to earth through them. They are the guardian of that mercy. They are the channel of grace. They are the channel of mercy. Whatsoever is supposed to reach to us from the point of view rizq, so on and so forth, everything is through Ahl Bayt alayhimus salam. That's why you have the aspect of tawassul, intercession. It is through them. The sun will rise. The day will come if the sun will rise. If there is no sun, there is no day. It's like that. So the mercy of God reaches to us through Ahl Bayt alayhimus salam, to the creation. It reaches to the creation, every created being, even walau that be angel, even that be angels as well. It is through Ahl Bayt alayhimus salam. So when Imam Hussein alayhi salam is asking for life or asking for water, is pointing out to that he is manifesting the element of the mercy of God. That, if I'm worried about you, Shimr, that because of me you will be punished in the hell. And I don't want that to happen. And he is the mercy. When Fir'aun was drowning, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked Musa, oh Musa, what was Fir'aun's asking when he was drowning? Moses said that he was asking for help to spare his life. And God said, Musa, do you know what I would have done if I was in your place? I would have saved him. Because Musa, I created him, you did not. God is merciful. God is merciful. He's Rahman and He's Rahim. So therefore the representative of Rahman and Rahim, which are the Ahl Bayt alayhimus salam, they are merciful as well. When they brought Ibn Muljim, what did Amirul Mu'minin said? Look at him. He feels so. Don't intimidate him. Give him the same food which you are giving it to me. Treat him the same way as you with that one blow. He did. You just give him one blow. If he lives, he lives. Leave him. But if he dies, he dies. The qisas that is there usually. Right? Or I would say that free him. Don't even do that. And that is better. Right? He has forgiven his own killer. He said, free him. Right? These are the Ahl Bayt. The fourth Imam, one of the governor of Medina, because as we know in history that Medina was attacked after those Qiyam, Tawabin and all that. The governor of Medina took refuge in the house of the fourth Imam, who was the enemy of the Imam, but Imam protected him from the Tawabin, those who repented and wanted to revolt and take revenge for the blood of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and all these different revolutions were going on at that time. So fourth Imam protected him. The slave dropped a tray on the head of the baby of the fourth Imam. Fourth Imam freed him. He said, go. Right? So this is how the Ahl Bayt were. Very forgiving, very kind, because they are the representation of that mercy of God. Right? So Imam Hussein is not really asking for water here. Imam Hussein is trying to bring out that humanity in Shimr. Perhaps through that he will be spared. Imam Hussein pointing out to that hope that God have in insan, that God even had hope in Pharaoh. He said, I would have saved him. There was a prophet who wanted to call the azab of God on his qawm, on his people. And God said, okay, just wait. Do this exercise, and then after that I will allow you to do. So he said, buy a plot of land, plant few seeds. He did that, and finally the seeds started, becoming the tree, and eventually was about to give fruits. And then God said to this prophet, burn it now. He said, I have done so much of work on this field, planted seeds, it's about to give me the fruits, and you are asking me to. So this is how it is for me, that, insan created and everything, and then all of a sudden you want to call azab upon them. Azab will come, but I don't want that. So God gives that opportunity to that last minute, to that last second to seek forgiveness. Right? And Ahl Bayt alayhimus salam are the best ark of salvation. It changes completely. So that's why we hear our great ulama and scholars saying that whatsoever we have is because of Muharram and Safar. Imam Khomeini, salamullah alayhi, he has mentioned that whatsoever we have is Muharram and Safar, because it's Muharram and Safar which brings that change in us. It changes our destiny. The typical example is Hazrat Hur, who was on the side of the enemies of Imam Hussein, or on the side of Umar Asad, right? Ibn Ziyad and Yazid, but he cried for Hussein. And this crying for Imam Hussein alayhi salam changed his life, changed his destiny. He asked forgiveness from Imam Hussein alayhi salam, from a 180-degree change, where he could have been, where we say, Allahumma lan awwala zalimin zalama haqqa, to where he became Assalamu alaikum ya awliya Allahi wa ahibbahu. He became part of the awliya. That great change took place because he had that element of ma'rifat, of understanding in his heart. He had that element in him, which we all have it, alhamdulillah, because of our tarbiyah, of our training, of our parents, to whatever extent. That's why we see ourselves here, sitting here, and especially the youngsters who've been forced and who've been brought here, for example, though sometimes you don't really want to go, but still you are here. It has a great, powerful impact upon them. Whatsoever they are doing, not an issue. They want to run around, they want to be playing here, it's okay, as long as they are here. It's very important, that they come in this place where there is special blessing and barakah descends. Because this is a very special place. This is a gathering in which we believe Fatimatu Zahra Salamullah Alayha comes. It's a majlis of Imam Hussain. Right? Time and time again we hear this. When there is a majlis, Hazrat Fatima Salamullah Alayha comes in that majlis. Right? Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, he did not have a lesson, because as we know he was a teacher. Because of the majlis of Imam. And one of the Sahabi did not attend the majlis of the Imam. Next day, he came to the class. He said, "Where were you yesterday?" He said, "Well, I didn't see you. There was no class and there was a majlis, so I just left." I said, "I didn't see you then." He said, "I was there, but I didn't see you." I said, "I was sitting at the place where they take the shoes off. Because how can I go further? Because Fatima was sitting there." The fourth Imam would do the same. He would sit at the place where the zawar, where the attendees of the majlis of Imam Hussain would take their shoes. Baqir Irawani, Ayatollah Baqir Irawani, great scholar. His books are taught in the Hawza. He says, "I kiss the dust of the zawar of Imam Hussain," his recent statement. Right? The zawar and those who attend the majalis of Imam Hussain, they are highly honored. Right? So we should not take ourselves as something that is little. The participation of ours, the bringing of our children here is very important. Right? But at the same time, we should not become self-righteous as well. That Jannat is our miras. That nobody else is going to Jannat but us. We got to be careful with that. We have to balance it. Right? Because we are the one who loves Imam Hussain, we are the one who are believer of Ali, so Jannat belongs to us and no one else. Right? So we got to be careful. So therefore, what I was trying to say, that these majalis are very important. Participation of ours are very important. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So there is no day like the day of Aba Abdullah al-Hussein alayhi salam. The scholars have said. So these are the majalis will bring that change. So Hur, he had that element of understanding and ma'rifat in him, which brought that change in him. How do we figure it out? Once again, this is also one of the maqatil that we tend to read and just pass by. When Imam Hussain was about to leave, Hur takes the rein of the Imam Hussein's horse and stops him. And Imam Hussain says, "May your mother cry on you." "O Hur, may your mother cry on you." Right? This doesn't really seem like to come from Imam. Someone who is such a, akhlaq and, of that caliber, to speak in that fashion. Because Imam Hussain was the main leader or the orchestrator of Karbala. He brought the best from everybody. He was going to each and everyone and asking him to join. He went to Zuhair, he went to Ubaidullah ibn Hurajofi, he went to Wahab, as we all know, right? To different people, and he was asking, he was inviting everyone. Look at this, that he invited everybody. On the 9th night, he says, "Go away." It's really strange. He asked them to come, and they all join. And then he says, "I'm going to, if you're shy, I'm going to put off the light, turn the light off, you go away, blow out the candle away, and you if you're embarrassed." And then he says, "Don't worry, you're worried about the hereafter, about the Qiyamah. I will guarantee you Jannah. Why do you worry about that?" He called them, he went there and called them, everybody is there, he said, "Go, you can go away. You're free to go." But what did they say? They say that even if we be killed 70 times, and our bodies be burned to ashes, and we've been brought back to our life, and then we are here for you, O Hussein. Right? This is bringing out the best of insaniyat and humanity. And Imam Hussain did that. So what did Hur said? Hur said, "If I did not know who your mother was, I would have said the same thing." Hur was aware who is Fatima. Right? He had that element in him. He had that ma'rifat in him. which changed his destiny. So we, to a certain extent, have that. That requires that change in us to make us better, right? And Muharram and Safar, and tonight is that night. Tonight is also Shab-e-Jum'ah, is the eve of Fridays, So these are the nights for that tawbah, for that U-turn, for that turning towards Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam. People who have reached the level where, I saw that parallel I have been mentioning, right? To the level where they could hear Jannah, as if they are in Jannah. This is not fairy tales. This is not, I'm talking about 100 years ago or 200 years ago. We're talking about recent, right? With their taskiyah, with their purification, with their ibadat, with their ma'rifat, understanding, knowledge, gaining of that knowledge. They come to that understanding, right? So he has this hadith which says that so the reason I talked about the author is because, we tend to reject, we tend to say, oh, this is a weak tradition, so on and so forth. But you have scholars who are so powerful in terms of their knowledge, in terms of their understanding. They bring these riwayat and hadiths and they talk about it and they explain it in a very unique way. Like, for example, you have a hadith here which talks about the birth of Imam Hussein alayhi salam, where Jibrail brought the news to Siddiqa Kubra, to Fatimatu Zahra salamullah alayha, that you will bear a child who will be killed in Karbala like this. So she rejected. She said, I don't want a son like this. So it doesn't really, make sense that how can she reject, right? Then he explains it in a more mysterious way. What was the reason behind rejecting it? So we got to understand, before rejecting that riwayat that we have, we really need to know the inside out, the in-depth reality of that riwayat, from different angle, from different point of view, right? This is not fiqh we are talking about. In fiqh, okay, I could understand, for those who, have that understanding. In fiqh, we only take those mutawatir and sahih and so on and so forth. But in terms of the akhlaqiyat, in terms of the interpretation, we looked into the different angles and different perspective and understanding of it, of these riwayat. And then finally, we kind of reject them. So we got to be very careful, that, for instance, we tend to talk about the maqatil, and these maqatil means that those narratives of Karbala, what happened on the day of Ashura, we tend to reject them. These were written 100 years ago, hundreds of years after, or 70 years after, or 50 years, or 200 years after, so therefore there's no authenticity of it, so on and so forth. So whatever the, mullah or the sheikh or the, speaker is speaking about, the narrative about the history is not really exactly what happened. How do they know that, right? So obviously, in terms of the material that we have from the scholars and which they give, for instance, the accounts of history, even though they might be weak, but you have strong scholars who tend to accept these narrations and interpret it and explain it in a way which really fits, which really makes sense, which makes sense in the sense that it is compatible with our ideological understanding, with our marifati understanding of that spiritual level that they were at. And at the same time, for example, it has some historical element to it as well, right? So that's the approach that we need to have in terms of these maqatil, in terms of the historic event that happened. I do respect the academic approach in regards to all of that, but these days it has become a fashion with that sort of academic approach. They are undermining many of the spiritual, ideological understanding of our school of thought, just under the pretext of being it ideological discussion, being an academic discussion. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. So the riwayat goes that قَدْ أَوْمَاتَ إِلَى النَّاسِ أَنْ إِسْكُتُوا. This is in regards to that khutbah. So a Ravi reports that in Kufa, Hazrat Zainab Salamullah alayha indicated with her hand and asked إِلَى النَّاسِ, to the people, أَنْ إِسْكُتُوا, to be quiet. Because there was a lot of noise, and there was no Brother Mustafa to keep everybody calm, quiet, no speaking, take your garbage, and all that, so on and so forth. There was nobody, right? So and people were gathered there because you have these prisoners who were brought, right? Ahl Bayt alayhimus salam. Plus, Kufa had a different story altogether because people were aware of Imam Hussein and they have invited Imam Hussein alayhi salam, and now they have Ahl Bayt who have been brought, and many people were crying, very sad at the same time. They tried to bring the hijab and chador for them and try to give them, because these all things were snatched from them because they knew, who Ahl Bayt were. It was Kufa. It was not like Sham. It was not like Syria, for example. They are completely foreign as such as, where they have propagated that these are the rebels or who have done qiyam against the Khalifa, so on. Kufa was a different story. So here, a lot of crowd, a lot of people, some of them were happy, some of them were crying. But here, the Ravi reports that, they did an indication and asked the Nas and the people to iskutu, to be quiet. فَأَرْتَدَّتْ أَنْفَاسِ. The breath just remained in their throats, the people who were there. So it was complete, everybody went quiet. To the extent that وَسَكَنَتِ الْأَجْرَاسِ. Even the bell that is hanging in the neck of the animals, that stopped as well. Just with one ishara, just with one indication of Hazrat Zainab Salamullah alayha. And we see a similar narration in regards to Abu Abdullah Hussein on the day of Ashura, where he wanted to deliver the sermon. Then he did that ishara, that indication where even the animals stopped, where Imam Hussein could deliver the message and the speech. So this points out to that power of wilayat, of that sort of power of that guardianship, of that friendship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, by which everything is controlled. Where one could really intervene into the khalaiq, into the makhluqat, into the creation. If a person who reaches to that maqam of perfection, of purity, of piety, that he could really, change the whole situation with his will, with her power, which comes from God, just like how Hazrat Isa alayhi salam would give life, would cure, for instance, right? It is with the connection to God. So then after that, she started delivering the sermon, which says, Alhamdulillahi was salatu ala abi Muhammadin wa alihi tayyibin al-akhyar. She says, Alhamdulillah. This is really strange. That after going all of that, she's praising Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. After that atrocities, after what she has went through. A little thing happened to us, we forget to say, how you doing? We say, oh, it's a bit, difficult. I'm suffering. I'm having this pain. But the first thing she said was, Alhamdulillah. So it really points out to that we should be praising and thankful to God in every state. What could be the worst state than the state which Ahl Bayt alayhimus salam went through? Right? Which Imam Hussein went through. Right? Because she is at that state and she says Alhamdulillah. Why is she saying Alhamdulillah? On what state, on what level she is at? You have this riwayah which says when Shimr was on the chest and finally Imam Hussein finished his guidance or his speech with him, fatabassama. Imam Hussein smiled just before he was slaughtered. Imam Hussein, fatabassama, he smiled. What is this smile? The weight of this smile is very much to that call of Amirul Mu'minin, Fustu bi Rabbil Kaaba. When that Ibn Muljim strikes the head of Hazrat Amir on the 19th night, and then Amirul Mu'minin says, I've been successful. By the Lord of the Kaaba, I've been successful. Here Imam Hussein smiled. Right? Here Hazrat Zainab says, Alhamdulillah. Now, if we go back to our discussions and last night, try to relate that, and for those who are here for, for the first time, I will just, go through what I have done very briefly. We gave you a model of insan, of human being, and the three different levels of insan. And we set this idea or this model on the basis of God Himself. Now, why we are trying to analyze, we are trying to understand why she said Alhamdulillah. After all of that, on what level, on what station she is to really say that. Fatabassama. Why Imam Hussein smiled? Why Amirul Mu'minin, said, I've been successful. Even though going through that pain and difficulty and sorrow and turmoil and calamity. But still they say Alhamdulillah, right? Or they thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They are pleased with what's going on, right? So you have, when a person reaches to a level where he realizes that whatsoever, the whole purpose of Anbiya and Awliya and the Imams and our fiqh or Shariat or history or whatever, tafsir, our ibadat is that we understand Tawheed, that we know God. What does this really Tawheed and oneness really means? If that is fixed, if we understand what Tawheed is, then everything will be resolved. Allahumma arifni nafsak, the dua of the Imam Zaman. He says, oh Allah, give me the knowledge of yours. Make the ma'rifat of my nafs of yours. If I don't know you, I will not be able to know your Nabi. Allahumma arifni nabiyyak. If you don't recognize who Nabi is, then I will not understand who Imam is. And if I don't understand who Imam is, I have gone astray in my deen. I have lost it. So the ma'rifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the understanding of this tawheed is very crucial and very important. And it seems to be on different levels. It is at a level where Hussein smiles, right? It is at a level where she says Alhamdulillah, right? And at the same time, it's at a very sort of lower level, where we tend to understand what Tawheed really means as a one God. And this has been crucial to insan, right from the very beginning, from the time of Socrates and before I'm talking about, right? You have Socrates, and then you used to have the sophist, sophist were philosophers who would go around different places and teach people to the art of speaking, because they thought that this is the only way to really, have some, position or maqam, or very materialistic, the sophists were. And then you have the Socrates were looked into, were questioned about God. And you would see that, time and time again, philosophers have looked into this, question about God. And they have come out with different understanding. Like, for example, you have Heidegger, who revisits the ontology, and talks about the ontological question in regards to God, in regards to the existence of God. The German philosopher, was a Catholic Christian, Heidegger was. You have Kant, you have Descartes, all of these are great philosophers who have based their understanding of God on theological principles, on philosophical principles, which are very similar to what we see how the Ahl Bayt alayhimus salam or the Islamic scholars have talked about, right? Plato, Aristotle, all of them, Saint Thomas Aquinas, where we find, to the extent the six Imam have praised Socrates and Plato, and have praised Aristotle. In their hadith we have riwayat where the six Imam have taken the name of Plato, have taken the name of Aristotle, have said that these were the men of God, right? And then you have the other sort of materialistic philosophers, which they tend to lack or tend to not really interpret and completely understand the question of existence. Then you have the existentialist philosopher like Jean-Paul Sartre, for example, who becomes an existentialist. But if you look at the line of thought, you would find that, there's the same very similarity there. But some philosopher reaches to a point and they say, okay, this is what it is, and doesn't want to go, right? Or criticize a philosopher which was there 100 years ago. But he would say, Baba, I was telling the same thing what you have arrived to. I'm 100 years before I died. That's the only issue, that's the problem which had, right? So then that's how the ilm tend to increase, right? With criticism, so on and so forth. But if you look at the line of thought, that there was always this question of the existence of God, and to have that very precise and very unique understanding of this existence, knowing God, and without any bias, if a person examine, investigate, the sermons of Amir al-Mu'mineen or the du'as of Imam Sajjad or Imam Hussein or other du'as that we have from the Imams, we would find that amazing, so crystallized, so unique understanding of Tawheed. بِكَ عَرَفْتُكَ وَأَنْتَ دَلَّلْتَنِي إِلَيْكَ. Surah in Dua Arafah of Imam Hussein, where Imam Hussein says, بِكَ عَرَفْتُكَ وَأَنْتَ دَلَّلْتَنِي إِلَيْكَ. Oh Allah, I know you because you showed yourself to me. I don't need any sort of signs to really come to you, because these signs also depend on you. They are weak. Why do I why do I need to know these things? So that I know you. But you yourself have showed to me. That's a direct understanding and how God have showed, and believe in God, where God shows himself. Allahumma arifni nafsak. Oh Allah, make me recognize your soul. So there is a natural fitri understanding of a human being in regards to God. That's why, the Prophet says that every person who is born, he's born a Muslim. Right? He has that fitra in him that he believes in God. It is very natural to a human being that he believes. Right? In the sermon of Imam Hussein before he went from Medina, he says, Ya ayyuhan nas, lima khalaqa khalqallah. O nas, O people, why God created the creation? Then he says, God created the creation liyarifuhu, in order that the creation recognize God, in order that the creation should know that the creation should know God. That's why God have created the creation. I don't want to get into philosophy. I'm just going to translate that, come to one point in this khutbah of Imam Hussein, and then do the conclusion in regards to the khutbah of Hazrat Zainab Salamullah Alaiha. He created the creation so that the creation recognize God. When they recognize God, fa'abaduhu, they will worship God. It is very natural. When they will worship, they will be self-sustained from worshipping others. Mustaghni an ibadati ma siwa. They will be ghani from doing worship to others. They will not worship others. Believing in God and ibadat is very natural to insan. He is a natural believer, and at the same time he naturally worship. Either he will worship a celebrity, or he will worship sports. There is something about him that he worship. Worship, what is worship? Means religiously following it. That's what worship is all about, right? So I religiously work out. We even use those terms. I religiously watch sports, right? So it is natural that he worship. It is natural in his fitrah that he believe in God. The point is that to protect this fitrah. The point is that to enhance this fitrah, develop this fitrah, and then come to that higher understanding of God, right? Because as this is a journey, as we said earlier, to know God. Even the Imam and the Prophet would say that, Ma arafnaka hatta ma'rifatik. The Prophet says, Ma abadnaka hatta ibadatik, right? The Prophet says that. So it's a journey of knowing God, whether we are in this dunya, whether we are in Barzakh, or whether we are in Jannah. Sheikh Saduq has a very beautiful riwayat which says that in Jannah, Mu'mineen with their palaces and castles and their kingdoms, they will be invited by God on the vehicles of light. And they will be taken to the higher levels of Jannah, which is Tawheed. And then they will return back to their castles and to their kingdoms. And when they will return back, the people who are workers, those people who are, their family members and all that, they will be benefiting from the noor that they have gathered from this trip that they have done. They will benefit from that noor, from that light, which they brought from those higher levels of Jannah. And they would say that God had invited us onto higher levels of Jannah, which is Tawheed, right? And He has promised us that He will invite us again. So there is an ongoing, Ya ayyuhan nas innaka kadihun, Ya ayyuhal insan innaka kadihun ila rabbika kadhan famulaqi, right? So this mulaqat, this meeting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, this journey to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is ongoing. That's how we tend to learn from that very young age. Our parents teach us, so on and so forth. And on the margin, if you look at, that's what Harakat-e-Jawhari is. That's what Sadra talks about. When body reaches to its perfection and Kamal, the soul leaves the body. The body remains here, however the soul. So therefore, knowing God, it is in that very nature, in that very fitra of that insan, who is a human being, which is called that humanity, right? So the model which I gave last night, and then we'll conclude inshallah, is that why is that they are on that level, they are saying Alhamdulillah. So I said that if a person understands that Tawheed, everything is resolved for him. There's a verse in the Quran which says that Ma asaba min musibatin fa min Allah. There is no musibat, ma asaba. It begins with a negative term. In Arabic, when something begins with a negation, it establishes more. La ilaha, negation first, right? And then, so it's a ma asaba min musibat, it's a negation. Famin Allah. So whatsoever musibat is there is from God, which points out to everything that takes place in this world. Every action that takes place in this world is because of God. Whatsoever is happening, whatever you call it, right? It is from God. But now we got to be very careful to really understand that concept, that understanding of Tawheed, because it could be possible that, okay, how people are, Jabri, how people believe in predestination. Oh, what happened to Imam Hussein? Oh, God wanted it to happen, so it happened. Yes, indeed, no doubt. Ma asaba, that's why Hussein is saying that. That's why the verse is saying that. Whatsoever ma asaba min musibatin fa min Allah. But, at the same time, it says that, وَمَنْ يَتَّقِ اللَّهِ, the one who is God-weary and God-conscious, يَهْدِي قَلْبَهُ, his heart will be guided. Hussein is facing musibat after musibat. But as he is muttaqi, he says, fatabassama, he smiles. Because his heart is guided towards that tawheed. Right? Hussein is conquering Karbala while he is fighting. But what was he saying? La hawla wa la quwwata illa billah. It is not him. There is no longer, he doesn't exist. He is annihilated in that understanding of Tawheed. Whatsoever is there is from God. Ma ra'aytu illa, I saw nothing but beauty in the plain of Karbala. That's what she said, right? So her vision, her understanding, her ma'rifat is that ma'rifat tawheedi, that understanding of Tawheed, which you and I need to really acquire that, to reach to that level. That's why the Ahlul Bayt alayhimus salam are there for. They've been there so that they can take us on this journey of Tawheed. Right? To understand God in that sense. Not just to keep God, limited to the Quran, where we haven't even kept that, unfortunately. Right? Or to our ruku and sajda and to our ziyarat and majlis and matam. No. The point is that ma'rifat. The point is that understanding of that Tawheed, which they came for. Right? So now, that is when we reflect upon these different concepts and theological arguments that come about, and on the basis of the du'as and riwayat as well and ayat as well, we would find these three different levels of Tawheed, as we said. And insan tend to have the same model. That is Tawheed as Zat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. In that essential reality, there is only one God exists. Just like how there is one humanity. You are a human being, everybody is a humans here. But there's one humanity, there's no two humanity. That oneness. Amirul Mu'mineen fighting in the battle of Siffin, a person comes to him and asks him, what is this Tawheed? He said, Baba, arrows are coming, spears are coming, you're asking about Tawheed. The companion stopped him. He said, Amirul Mu'mineen stopped him. This is what we are fighting for. There he gives a very deep hadith. Allama Tabatabai discusses this in one of his essays, which has been translated by William Chittick in the book called Shia, if you want to refer to that. So here he gives that detailed version of Tawheed, the different levels of Tawheed. This oneness, when we are seeing this one, is not like a number. This oneness is like white. There is only one white. There is no two white. Right? There is only one white. There are no two whites. It's like that type of Tawheed. And it is something that exists, essentially. The existence of God is something that is essential to His Zat. He exists. It is not possible that He cannot exist. It is, if you put this understanding right where, for example, I will say, 5 is greater than 6. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine 2 plus 2 is 4? Okay, how about 2 plus 2 is 5? We cannot even imagine that concept. So the same way it is impossible to imagine God does not exist. That's the argument we have seen time and time again. From the time of Plato to Descartes and Kant, they all talk about this argument. It is not possible that we cannot imagine that. Right? So the existence of God and that oneness of God, that oneness nature, that one God is like that. Can you imagine, for example, this paper is white, 100% white, and at the same time 100% black. We cannot imagine that. We cannot, when you're talking about, for example, they say that, we don't believe in God because it is not possible. Because something that is impossible because you cannot even imagine. At least in your mind you could imagine. So the same way the existence of God is so crucial, is so important, that the existence without God is impossible. It cannot. So that's that tawheed in the Zat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, where I compare that to that model of insan. Even insan have that humanity, that our Zat is, our essential reality is human being, which is different to haywanat, which is different to animals. Now, as we can build this, now you have that tawheed awsaf of the sifat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, where all of his different qualities are one. Now here it becomes a bit crucial. For example, we say God is Hadi. I'm really not going to give you different examples. I'm quickly jumping into the point which I want to talk about. God is Hadi, right? And God is, what is the opposite of Hidayat? Zalala. God is Mudil at the same time, right? God guides, God misguides. It's one existence only. How can we come to that understanding? God is the one who guides, at the same time God is the one who misguides. So can we really say, let's be misguided because God is misguiding, it's much more fun to be misguided, right? We can't do that, right? It doesn't allow us to accept the fact, right? Naturally, it doesn't allow us to give us pain and difficulty. For example, we will not try to, burn ourselves just because it's the same thing. No, we don't. There's something in us which doesn't allow us. Because God, He Himself have said that do not be misguided. That's why, in the very introduction there's a book of Ayatollah Jawadi Amali where, people, if they read, they always say that, what is this? He says, Shaitan is also mercy of God. Right? So we have to come to that very unique understanding of that tawheed. If that is understood, all of the things will be resolved. Now, this doesn't mean that we should become like, okay, everything is equal. It doesn't really matter. No. Imam Hussein he fought. Imam Hussein resisted. Imam Hussein kept that banner of haqq high. He said, this is also Muzil, this is okay, everything is fine, like how you have these people, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, it's like everything is okay. No. You have to have that. You have to take the side of the haqq and truth and try to understand haqq from that point of view. Ali wal mal haqq wal haqq wal mal. Ali is that. That understanding of tawheed from haqq point of view, from what Ali is saying. We cannot really mix them. Allahumma arinil haqqa haqqa fa'atbahu. Oh Allah, show me the haqq, what haqq is. Washtanibu batila batilan. Show me batil as batil so that, I run away from it, and do not mix them. There's a dua of which is recited after the ziyarat of Imam Jawad alayhi salam in the Mafat. You will find that very beautiful dua. So that is on the awsaf. So all of these names of God are one, and then finally the af'al of God. So every action cannot happen, and it happens because of God, right? So when a person gets to that level of understanding, where he sees nothing but tawheed, ma ra'aytu shay'an illa ma huwa Allah wa ba'dahu Allah. I haven't seen a thing, as Hazrat Ali says. With it I saw Allah. After it I saw Allah. Before it I saw Allah. That vision. Because أَيْنَمَا تُوَلُّوا فَثَمَّ وَجْهُ اللَّهِ, right? So it is by that practice, it is with that ma'rifat, that has to be there. And the greatest vehicle that will make us reach to that kamal and make us awliya Allah wa ahibbahu is Abu Abdullah al-Hussein. He is the champion of that. So we have to ask, we have to ask from him. It is through him that we really receive that, through commemoration, through these majalis, through this understanding. It really gives us that energy and charge that even after all this, they were, worshipping, they were doing night prayers, they were doing zikr, they were thanking Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They suffered so much. And really, where do we stand? How far are we from them, right? Right. So therefore, when a person reaches to that level of the vision, of understanding of that ma'rifat, right? Because that person would see nothing but the manifestation and the reflection of the divine from the level of this mulk, from this level of this plane, of this dunya, to the level of Jabarut and higher. It's one reality and nothing else, right? Death, how Imam Zainul Abidin introduces death in Saif Sajjadiyah. He says it is a mukashafa of the death angel. Death is a mukashafa, is unveiling of the truth. A person sees Israel and he dies naturally. When he sees that, he dies. That's a natural reaction. Because Israel is right here, but we are not seeing it, right? Don't be scared. Israel is right here. It cannot be. He cannot go anywhere. He is right here. But it is because we are not seeing it, we are not dying. If we see it, we'll die. It's a mukashafa. It's a higher level, right? On this level of this mulk is that death angel. If you make it higher on the level of Jabarut, right? On the level of the earth is Maut. On the level of Malakut is Israel. On the level of Jabarut is Mumit. It is the name of God, right? And one have to go through all of this journey of knowing God, right? One have to go through all of this journey of knowing God to all different levels in this dunya. That's why it's kullu nafsin za'iqatul maut. The point is that the hereafter, if it be so that you see the 99 names of God, the hereafter is based on that you see the 99 names of God. You understand the 99 names of God. Now, if somebody is in the hereafter, have only seen 98 names, he is on a higher level, or someone who have seen 99 names, he is on a higher level. So why are we so afraid to see the name Mumit of God? It's a beautiful manifestation of God. That's what death is. It's beautiful. It's that zaiqa, it's that taste that every soul have to go through, right? So it is that descent of that name of Mumit from that Jabarut to that Malakut where it becomes Israel. And when it reaches to this mulk, it becomes Maut. So if a person reaches to that vision of Tawheed, that understanding of Tawheed, that's why Amirul Mu'minin says, Hazrat Ali Akbar says, what difference does that make? Death come to us or we go to death when we are on haqq, right? Death is like a beautiful necklace that is tied to man when he comes in this dunya. Imam Hussain says that. Death to me is sweeter than honey. Hazrat Qasim says that. Death becomes that. Because they have understood what Tawheed is all about. They know what Tawheed is. Right? So, but this doesn't mean, now, one of the other thing and Masaib is that it doesn't give them pain. They suffer. It's painful. When Ahl Bayt, when you cut them, when these awliya, when you cut them, they bleed. But this suffering is very sweet. It's pleasure. But they suffer. The Ahl Bayt, they suffered on the plain of Ashura. When Abul Fazl Abbas, when he comes, when he was not allowed to go and fight, he was asked to fetch water. He suffered. It was difficult for him. They say that on the 9th night, Umar Saad spent most of the time on the 9th night to discuss how they will fight with Abul Fazl. Because they knew that they cannot defeat Abul Fazl Abbas. This one man is so powerful. But Abul Fazl was not allowed to go and fight. he was asked to bring water. There's some hikmat behind it. And this is what it made him higher and higher. His daraja, his level increase in terms of that ma'rifat. Because, to be courageous is not to really, conquer and fight and kill, but to be courageous is to be patient. So for a person who have the art of fighting and he is not allowed to fight, he has to conquer that. And Abul Fazl, tonight being the night of Thursday, night of Imam Zaman, let's do the Masaib of Abul Fazl Abbas as his Arba'in as well. Because they say in the Masaib of Abul Fazl, the Imam comes. The 12th Imam arrives in that. There's a presence of the 12th Imam. So when he comes, Imam Hussein does not allow him. He says, you are the standard bearer. Then he says that, where is that? Where are those troops where I could be considered as a standard bearer? One after the other, they are slain, they are killed. Then Imam Hussein says that, why don't you go fetch some water? So he comes, as they say, to the tent which had water skins, which had water supplies. And he takes that water skin. And then he goes towards Euphrates, towards that river to fetch water. He fights furiously and he reaches to Furat. When he reaches to that Furat, he gets down and then he fills the water skin and he takes water in his hand and he looks at it. Perhaps, he would have remembered that wasiyah, that will of his father, Hazrat Ali, who says that, "O Abbas, you are my son. Make me proud on the day of judgment." Then Abul Fazl leaves that water. He says, how can I drink this water when Sakina is thirsty, when Asghar is thirsty, when my master Hussein is thirsty? So he did not drink water. He fills the water skin and then he goes towards the Qiyam. Umar Saad yells that, do not allow this water to reach the Qiyam of Hussein. So they attacked Abul Fazl from all sides. They attacked with spear, they attacked with arrows, with swords. Whatsoever they had, they attacked Abul Fazl, not allowing. The little children are looking at the alam, at the standard of Abul Fazl, at the standard that he has, that the flag of Abul Fazl, and saying that it's coming nearer and nearer to them. They were happy that the water is about to reach their tent. But all of a sudden they see that this alam falls on the ground. The hope is shattered of the children of Hussein. And here Hussein sees that the flag have fallen down. Then here Hussein says that my back is broken, O Abbas. And swiftly he goes towards Abul Fazl Abbas, like as he went to every shaheed, as they say. And then as he is going towards Abul Fazl Abbas, then all of a sudden he stops and gets down. He notices something on the ground. It is the severed hand of Abul Fazl. Because when Abul Fazl Abbas was bringing water, he had the spear in his hand, they severed his hand. And when one hand was severed, he took the water skin in the neck, in the left hand. And they severed the left hand as well. Then he places the water skin in his mouth. And still he's trying to go towards the Qiyam of Imam Hussein. Rain of arrow comes. And perhaps one of the arrow was purposely targeted towards the water skin of Abul Fazl. What a poetry a poet have beautifully mentioned, that Abul Fazl did not feel any pain when his hands were severed. But when that arrow hits that water skin, that is the time when Abul Fazl felt the pain. He lost hope. And then there is another dream which has been mentioned, that Siddiqa Kubra Fatimatu Zahra comes in the dream and he says, you reciter, you do not recite the Masaib of my son. He says that I recite the Maqtal of Imam Hussein and Shimr and everything. But he says, no, every rider who have fallen from the horse had hands to protect him. But my son, when he falls from the horse, his hand were severed before. And then he falls on his face. When Imam Hussein stopped again, picks up the second hand which was severed and finally reaches to Abul Fazl. Places the head of Abul Fazl in his lap. And then here Abul Fazl says, oh, my master, when I came to this dunya, it's been mentioned that he was not opening eyes till Imam Hussein came. "Oh my master, as I am leaving this dunya, I would like to gaze your face. I would like to see your face when I leave this dunya. Will you pull this arrow out which is in my eyes, because it is not allowing me to see your face?" And here the last words between two brothers. And here when Imam Hussein cleans the blood, takes the arrow out, Abul Fazl, looking at the face of Hussein, leaves this dunya. And the time comes and the hour comes that Imam Hussein alayhi salam, lamenting and crying and bringing the alam, the standard or bearer, is gone, is no longer. The little children comes out doing matam. Allah la'natullah ala qawm al-zalimin sayalamun ladhina zalimu ayyamun qalibin yanqalibun. Matam ya Hussein. 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 Ya Hussein.
There were two brothers. If we can have all the brothers to come a little bit forward. Ya Hussein. Ya Hussein. Ya Hussein. There were two brothers in Karbala, the two sons of Ali Waliullah. The younger one was Hazrat Abbas, the older one was Hussein Sarallah. As-salamu ala al-Hussein, as-salamu alayka ya Abal Faz. As-salamu ala al-Hussein, as-salamu alayka ya Abal Faz. As-salamu ala al-Hussein, as-salamu alayka ya Abal Faz. As-salamu ya Hussein, as-salamu alayka ya Abal Faz. As-salamu ala al-Hussein, as-salamu alayka ya Abal Faz. There are two shrines in Karbala, and between them is Bainul Haramain. There are two shrines in Karbala, and between them is Bainul Haramain. One of the shrines is for Abbas, the other one is for Imam Hussein. As-salamu ala al-Hussein, as-salamu alayka ya Abal Faz. As-salamu ala al-Hussein, as-salamu alayka ya Abal Faz. Next to the shrine there's a blue dome, which is known as Tal Zainabiyya. Next to the shrine there's a blue dome, which is known as Tal Zainabiyya. That is where Zainab was watching the beheading of son of Fatima. As-salamu ala al-Hussein, as-salamu alayka ya Abal Faz. As-salamu ala al-Hussein, as-salamu alayka ya Abal Faz. Behind the shrine there is a creek, which is known as the Creek of Al-Ghameh. Behind the shrine there is a creek, which is known as the Creek of Al-Ghameh. That's where the eyes of Abul Faz was hit by arrow of Harmaleh. As-salamu ala al-Hussein, as-salamu alayka ya Abul Faz. As-salamu ala al-Hussein, alayka ya Abul Faz. Inside the shrine there's a lonely man, lonelier than Ali Murtaza. Inside the shrine, there's a lonely man, lonelier than Ali Murtaza. He is Mahdi, the avenger of the blood of martyr of Karbala. As-salamu ala al-Husayn, as-salamu alayka ya Aba al-Fat, as-salamu السلام عليك يا أبا الفاز السلام على الحسين السلام عليك يا أبا الفاز السلام على الحسين السلام عليك يا أبا الفاز. Every Thursday night we remember Hussein. Every Thursday night we remember Hussein. Every Thursday night we remember Hussein. We cry for Hussein and we call Ya Hussein. We cry for Hussein and we call Ya Hussein. Every Thursday night we remember Hussein. Everyone! Every Thursday night we remember Hussein. We cry for Hussein and we call Ya Hussein. We cry for Hussein and we call Ya Hussein. Our goal is to spread the message of Hussein. Our goal is to spread the message of Hussein. To live like Ali and to die like Hussein. To live like Ali and to die like Hussein. Every beat of my heart calls the name of Hussein. Every beat of my heart calls the name of Hussein. And return on my heart is the name of Hussein. And return on my heart is the name of Hussein. Ya Hussein, 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 Ya Hussein. As-salamu alayka ya Rasul Allah. As-salamu alayka ya Habib Allah. As-salamu alayka ya Amir al-Mu'minin. As-salamu alayka ya Sayyid al-Wasi. السلام عليك يا فاطمة الزهراء سيدة النساء العالمين. السلام عليك يا حسن المجتبى. السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله. السلام على الحسين وعلى أولاد الحسين وعلى السلام عليك يا سيدي ومولاي يا أبا الفضل العباس ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا علي بن الحسين زين العابدين. السلام عليك يا محمد بن علي باقر علم النبي. السلام عليك يا جعفر بن محمد الصادق. السلام عليك يا موسى بن جعفر الكاظم. السلام عليك يا غريب الغرباء. السلام عليك يا علي بن موسى الرضا. السلام عليك يا محمد بن علي أيها الجواد التقي. السلام عليك يا علي بن محمد أيها الهادي النغي. السلام عليك يا حسن بن علي أيها الزكي العسكري. السلام عليك يا صاحب الزمان. السلام عليك يا خليفة الرحمن. السلام عليك يا إمام الإنس والجان. السلام عليك يا بقية الله في أرضه، وعجل الله تعالى فرجك، وسهل الله مخرجك وظهورك، واجعلنا من خير أعوانك وانصارك والمستشهدين بين يديك. السلام عليكم جميعا ورحمة الله وبركاته، وإلى الأرواح المؤمنين والمؤمنات، بالأخص زكية بيغم بنت آقا يوسف وأشرف علي فاضل، رحم الله من يقرأ الفاتحة مع الصلوات.